It's that time of year again, trade deadline time, the chance for playoff bound teams to add the final touches to their rosters and for rebuilding teams to sell off their assets in exchange for future picks and prospects. The Toronto Maple Leafs are headed for the postseason once again, but despite having an impressive record and being on form lately, they are lacking in some areas, and having already acquired Lyubushkin back to Toronto, it's likely the Leafs aren't done yet. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Victoria and I talk all things Toronto sports, hockey and baseball from across the pond in Scotland. And for today's video, I'm talking about the Leafs at the trade deadline. And also, I'm filming this at night, which I never film at night. And even though I have like a ring light and stuff, I don't know how this lighting's working out for me. So just please ignore that. It is also the weekend, so I have wine, obviously, because it's the weekend. So cheers. And let's talk a little bit of Leafs hockey. I also thought I already filmed this yesterday, and when I went to edit it today, I realised that I hadn't pressed record on my camera, and there was no footage there. Well, there was 4 minutes of footage when I filmed for over 30 minutes, so let's try this again, shall we? This time with wine. So of course it is coming up to the trade deadline, which is March 8th, and so I'm filming this on, it is the 2nd of March today. So there's less than a week to go. I'm very excited. I love trade deadline time. I love the chaos. I love there being so much going on. It's like Christmas for NHL fans like me. And the Leafs have already made their first move. On Thursday night, or like early Friday morning if you're in my time zone, the Toronto Maple Leafs announced that they had brought back Ilya Lyubushkin. And no, we're not in 2022, which is when this happened last time, but we are still in 2024, and Lyubushkin is back already. He is back as a Leaf and I'm happy about it. I could be happier, but I'm happy about it. Hi, just jumping in here, editing Victoria here. So I filmed this video before the Rangers game on Saturday night, where of course Lyubushkin ended up sustaining an injury. He took a big hit from Matt Rempe late in the second period and he didn't return to the game. Sheldon Keefe has voiced his displeasure of the hit, and hopefully Lyubushkin is okay and he'll be back in the lineup soon, but I thought I needed to add this in given it was Lyubushkin's first game for the Leafs since the trade, and you know, I don't talk about it in this obviously because I filmed this before that happened. Oh, and also, if you don't want to hear my thoughts on the Lyubushkin trade and you'd rather jump to the section of this video where I discuss just the Leafs in general at the trade deadline, I've left video chapters down in the description box, so you can just jump ahead to wherever you want to be if you'd rather do that. Okay, back to the video. It was a necessary thing to do. There are severe defensive depth problems for the Leafs right now. They have a lot of D-men injured. Klingberg and Timmins already out injured, and then of course Mark Giordano just sustained a head injury, and so he's going to be out for we don't know how long, and I'm really sad about that because I would hate for that to be his last game. I love Gio and I really want him to end his career on a high and also end it when he chooses to. So hopefully he can get healthy, get back, and hopefully he's okay, because head injuries are obviously no joke and I hate to see anyone get hurt. The Leafs just have a lot of injured defensemen, and it got so bad that Mitch Marner has had to play defence. And I think it's a pretty telltale sign that if one of your star forwards who you pay millions upon millions of dollars for is playing defence, you need to get some D-men at the trade deadline. Mitch Marner is not paid all that money to be a D-man. He is not. He is paid to be up front, making plays and scoring goals. That's what he's there for. And so of course there were many names being thrown around, which I'll get to in a second, but Lyubushkin is at least the first of possibly many moves that the Leafs have made. It was a 3-team trade between the Leafs, the Ducks and the Canes, and with 75% salary retained, he actually doesn't come at too much of a monetary cost. In return, the Ducks got a 3rd round pick and the Canes got a 6th round pick, which doesn't sound too bad, but the Leafs are actually quite scarce in terms of picks right now, so that is concerning. Chris Johnson made a post that the Leafs acquired Lyubushkin at a cap hit of $687,500 with double retention, which is of course less than the league minimum, and it does leave room for the Leafs to make some extra moves and do some other things. D-depth was definitely completely necessary for the Leafs to add to. They're really lacking in it, and they were ideally looking for a right-handed defenseman, and the market for a right-handed defenseman was obviously something that was a real topic over the past week or so. Chris Tanev was a real want for a lot of Leafs fans, and there were definitely rumours around Chris Tanev becoming a Leaf, and so it was obvious that even before the Leafs picked up Lyubushkin that Tanev was out of the running, and so the right-handed demon market was definitely sort of hot last week, and so Lyubushkin is who the Leafs have picked up to fulfill this role. It doesn't really matter what you think about Lyubushkin or what you think about the price. Ultimately, it was completely necessary for the Leafs to add a defenseman, and that's the bottom line. So it would have had to be somebody. They had to do something, basically. I think he could be a good physical presence, and of course when it comes to 3-team trades, there's always some little sweeteners, some like additional things thrown in just to sweeten the trade up a little. And the sweetener for this trade was that the Leafs got the rights to Kirill Slepets to complete the deal, who is a Canes pick from the 2019 draft, and he plays in the KHL now. Yeah, I'm quite intrigued by that, so we'll see. And I know that one of the main issues surrounding Lyubushkin was his analytics and his stats, but a player's like numbers are really determined by their teammates and what team they're playing on, and the Anaheim Ducks are not really a team that are going to boost your analytics. I also think that analytics and numbers aren't the only factor in what the value of a player is, and I think the fact that Lyubushkin knows the Leafs, he knows the team, I really didn't mind having him around before. I think those are important factors too, and I think maybe that's where he was given the edge over other potential options for a demon addition. He could also be good on the penalty kill, which the Leafs will definitely need and will definitely come in handy. Other names that had been mentioned around sort of filling up this defensive gap include Matt Dumba, Alexandre Carrier or Tyson Barrie, but they all come at a significantly higher price, and the Leafs really have to toe the line with getting what they need without giving up too much. I really like the thought of Sean Walker of the Philly Flyers, because even though he's not the biggest defenseman, I think he's only like 5'11", I think he could be a really solid addition for the Leafs. He's been a really good part of the Flyers top 4D group, and he also has 6 goals and 16 assists this season as well. Someone else I really like is Adam Larsson of the Seattle Kraken. I would love to see him in a Leafs jersey. I think he could be a really good fit. I think he could fill a gap that the Leafs are missing, and obviously he's only going to be available if the Kraken sort of decide that they're definitely out of the running for playoffs this year. I think that that's when they would sort of be putting him on the market, so it really does depend on whether Seattle are throwing in the towel or not. He has a $4 million cap hit, which is not too bad, and depending on like retention of salary or whatever, it could work out really well for the Leafs. I'd love to see the Leafs add another defenseman before the trade deadline is up, but obviously we do have the concern over cost and what it's going to cost them. There's basically 3 options for the Leafs. They either stay as they are right now, they don't add anything, they keep the group exactly as they are right now, or they make some moves and they either give up picks or prospects, or a combination of the two. In terms of picks, the Leafs don't have an awful lot left. I'd hate to see them give up that precious first rounder. I would really hate to see that go, and in terms of other picks they have available, they are running quite low. And then in terms of prospects, I mean, do you want to give up Easton Cowan, Fraser Minton? Do you want to give them up? I don't want to give them up, but something has to give. There has to be something given up somewhere, and I just don't know how far they go with that. How far do you put your future on the line to potentially win a cup now, versus if you don't win a cup now after selling all that off, you don't have anything for the future. It's definitely something that I don't know the answer to. And I want to hear you guys' thoughts on that. As I said, they could stay as they are right now, just with the addition of Lyubushkin or maybe some other sort of more minor move. And even though, as I'm filming this, the Leafs played the Rangers tonight, and so I'll pop up here what their I don't know what's going to happen tonight. Because I'm filming this before the game. So I don't know what's going to happen, but as I'm filming this, they have won 8 out of 9 of their last games. So I think this group are really solid. It would just worry me that the cracks when it comes to defence would really begin to show going into the postseason, and I think they have to be stronger in that respect if they want to go on any sort of cup run, which of course is the aim for the Leafs this season. They've got a strong group and they need to really utilise that while they have it. But unfortunately, you know, the cap hasn't gone up yet. Of course it will, and they just are sort of running low-ish on things that they can basically use to get good stuff in. Wow, I'm really putting this well. Wow. And so in terms of forwards that they could pick up, now I don't see getting forwards as a priority by any means, because it's definitely in defence that the Leafs are lacking. They have a strong core forward group who should be able to carry the weight, but if they were to add some forwards, there are definitely some, there's a lot of names that have been tossed around, and I love reading about, you know, like potential moves and trades. I love reading that stuff leading up to the trade deadline, and so just a couple that have stuck out to me in what I've been reading and watching and consuming. The first is another Ducks player, and it is Adam Enrique. Enrique? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Would it even be a Victoria video if there wasn't at least one name that I think I'm saying wrong? He's 34. He is not the quickest of skaters. He's not the fastest of players, but he does have a lot to offer, and he's been heavily relied on in Anaheim to an extent that he would never have to be in Toronto, and he still performed really well. So he could definitely be a potentially really good addition to the group. He does have a $5.8 million cap hit, and so even with retention or whatever, it's still kind of hard to justify that for a forward that they may or may not need in comparison to their defensive needs. Someone else is another Seattle player, because for some reason I'm obsessed with stealing Seattle players. Very sorry to my diehard Kraken fan of a mother. I want all your players. But it is Alex Wennberg of the Kraken. He's a centre, but he's also really good in defensive zone draws, and he's very used to them, and this could be really useful for when the Leafs inevitably need to cling on to a lead near the end of the game, which we all know is going to happen. He has a $4.5 million cap hit, which is better, but again, it's just, you know, it depends what the Leafs want to do with their money and with the picks and prospects that they have left. So my thoughts, I would love to see the Leafs add another defenseman. Ideally, I would love them to do a couple of things. I don't think there's anything major needing changed, because I do like this group. It's just injuries with defensemen. Obviously they'll need to do something with that, and it would be nice to see them sort of try and shape up the roster a little bit, fine tune it going into the postseason, because hopefully this is the year. This is the year, guys. I'm delusional. Very delusional. So I'm intrigued to see what will happen over the next week or so. I just love trade deadline time. There's always stuff going on. I love it. So that's all from me today. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think the Leafs need to add at the trade deadline? What are your thoughts? What do you think of Lyubushkin being back? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll be back soon with more hockey chats from across the pond. Bye guys.
Yeah, we can walk on water while the boats are leaking. Soon the walls will be giving in. Anytime now, anytime now. Another shrug of the shoulders, I guess.